Hi, and welcome to the Art of Film Funding. I'm your co-host, Claire Papan, along with writer-producer Carol Dean, author of the best-selling book, The Art of Film Funding, and host of this show. Carol is the president of From the Heart Productions, a nonprofit organization that has supported filmmakers with the Roy W. Dean Grant, fiscal sponsorship, education, and resources for over 30 years. Carol also teaches the Learn Producing class. Each class features an industry expert guest instructor and is designed to give the information, guidance, and support to become a successful producer. You can learn more about this class and all of From the Heart Productions offerings at FromTheHeartProductions.com. Our very special guest, Marc Iserlis, is the head of film at Republic, an investment platform that lets everyone, both accredited and non-accredited investors, invest in private market opportunities like startups, films, sports, gaming, real estate, and beyond, and share in the financial upside. Republic boasts a community of nearly 3 million members and has deployed over $2.6 billion through its investment platforms, funds, and firms. Marc leads Republic's newly launched film financing vertical, Republic Film, which enables fans to invest directly in their favorite filmmakers' new projects and share in their success. Success stories from Republic Film include Skybound Entertainment, The Walking Dead Invincible, Pressman Film, American Psycho Wall Street, and Robert Rodriguez's Brass Knuckle Films, which have raised tens of millions of dollars from their global fan bases. Marc is also a film and TV producer whose credits include Hotel Mumbai, Gone in the Night, Late Bloomers, Daliland, and About a Hero. And Carol, Marc is trailblazing in the field of crowd investment.
Yes, he is, Claire. Thank you so much, Marc, for joining us.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you, Carol. Thank you for having me.
Well, we have a lot to cover today, so we want to start with anyone who's new to Republic Film. Can you start and explain what your company does and how it connects filmmakers with investors?
Of course. So Republic is a global investment platform, and our mission is to sort of democratize access to investment opportunities that have sometimes been traditionally reserved for accredited investors or institutional, family office, high net worth investors. We're opening that up to the non-accredited investors as well, enabling them, the everyday fan or investor, to invest in these into private market opportunities like startups, film, tech, sports, real estate, and film has emerged as a really powerful category, film and entertainment. Previously, I think a lot of us in the industry feel that the two key ways to get your film or content financed are obviously, of course, through a high net worth or through a private equity individual or through a studio streamer deal. And now there's sort of a third way where a filmmaker can engage directly with their fans and actually legally access investment from them into their next development slate, their next film, or even the distribution, the P&A of their film, should they want an alternative to the traditional distribution deal they get. And as we've seen on Republic as well, direct investment into the company of a filmmaker, start a new production company from the ground up, or invest in private shares of that. So America does have very strict securities laws, and Republic is fully regulated by the SEC to allow these non-accredited investors to invest in the US and globally. And of course, the most important thing there is share in the upside, share in the profits, the financial success of these projects. And that really is a key differentiator here. to what is traditionally, I think, known as crowdfunding, and that's why I like to call this crowd investing.
Yes, makes a lot of sense. Now let's explain, please, to our audience, how does crowd investing with Republic Film differ from the traditional crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter or Indiegogo?
Of course. So those platforms are typically donations based or perks based. You give money to your film or to a project or startup, and you're making it happen, and you are in a sense part of it. Don't but you are at the end of the day donating it. You're not allowed to invest in it with the expectation of returns, financial returns that would qualify as a security. Republic specializes in guiding projects through all that sort of uh, legal and technical paperwork and filings so that you can actually offer the chance of returns to everyday investors. And that's a really powerful force to sort of democratize those opportunities previously only reserved for, accredited and wealthy folks. And this law only came about in 2014, the Obama Jobs Act, and that law was designed to create these exemptions to that securities rule that everyday non-accredited investors cannot invest. So now they can, and Republic really is leading the way. The Republic has been around since 2016, has a community of 3 million members across 150 countries. The Republic has helped deploy capital from people all over the world and all types of investors and institutions into, I believe it's over 2,000 startups and projects. And with these licenses, with the strength of these licenses, I said, wow, we have to apply this to the film industry today.
Well, this is marvelous. 3 million investors. This is fantastic, especially for independent filmmakers who have a great idea, but they don't have a lot of HNIs or high net worth individuals in their database. They don't know how to find them. So you've got that covered. That's wonderful. So, what was the inspiration behind opening the doors of investment to everyday people?
Right. I mean, yes, thank you. The Republic community is really impressive. I came on to lead film uh, more recently, about 2 years ago, and built up, the narrative as you hear sort of the opportunity that I'm describing. From the large community that Republic does have, it's important to note that Republic is traditionally a fintech platform. They invest, it's startups, it's technology. So film is a new asset class offered, and it's had great sort of success so far. But what really inspired me to apply these licenses in this platform is actually to the fans of a filmmaker and the community of filmmakers. I don't, with most of our raises, we don't rely necessarily on the Republic community. They're not looking at this. It's important for the filmmakers to really communicate with their fan bases, and the narrative becomes, hey, now I, as a filmmaker, as your favorite filmmaker, don't have to rely necessarily on a deal that I need to fight for, or creative freedoms that I have to fight for in the traditional system. Now I can give the audience, a seat at the table, and together we can invest in our own development and control our own IP and negotiate our own distribution deals with more leverage because we own the property and we have a built-in audience already from day one. And guess what? When we go to negotiate that distribution deal, the audience is going to be there fighting for this film as financial stakeholders and telling all their friends and family to go see it. So the thesis is that the film will also perform better across the value chain. So I think the most important part is just these tools that allow um, community investment access. And what really inspired me was just sort of seeing, as I described, the state of the industry today and sort of the difficulty or the lack of that exact um, platform opportunity. As there are donations, there's even Patreon. You even see more like direct to fan engagement with content creators. But how do you now take the power into your hands? You have the community, you have even the platforms for distribution. Now you can finally tap them for investment as well and make something together. And that's powerful. Even if a celebrity is launching a talent or a creator is launching a piece of content or even a brand, it's like the audience are the most important part of its success. So let's include them in that success.
Mark, this is so true. We teach that because we are a nonprofit with a lot of sponsored filmmakers. And the key issue here is that people give money to people, usually not to films, but to people. So what you've done is epitomize the filmmaker. You're making the filmmaker the star, or uh, you're bringing them into our own homes, and with investments that we can do carefully and considerably and enjoy it. It's a wonderful idea, and it's the new way because of too many of the standard ways of funding films are disappearing. And so this is the future from my perspective.
Right. I mean, yeah, thank you. I think, I always think the most powerful fan engagement, what more powerful fan engagement is there than to actually own a piece of your favorite IP or the sequel to your favorite IP or start a new creative project with your favorite filmmaker. I mean, it's just a completely new paradigm of engagement. And it does change the narrative as well from, I guess, traditional crowdfunding or giving to co-investing and to co-owning and making something together.
Yes, that's exactly right. And people love the social currency of telling their friends that I
Right.
just invested in a film, and that must expand your database very quickly.
Right, of course. And I mean, those perks, of course, of still, if you invest certain amounts, you get a prop or a shout out or a credit or a behind the scenes, or in some of our raises, if you invest the very top amount, Eli Roth will kill you in his movie.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, I saw that. $1 million. I love it. That's fun. Okay, well, now let's talk about success stories. Can you walk us through the Brass Knuckle Films campaign with Robert Rodriguez? Because he is one of our favorites. So, how much was raised and what made it so successful, Mark?
Sure. And that's our most recent success. And, we have a few that we're quite proud of over the last few years. So yes, Robert Rodriguez just closed his development his development slate raise for a new slate of action films. His new label is called Brass Knuckle Films. So, Robert Rodriguez, he's always been a maverick, a rebel without a crew, and he created his own studios, Troublemaker Studios in Austin, Texas. And he thought also, why don't I raise my own financing in my own way and create a new slate of action films. And actually, so he was originally only aiming to raise 1.5 million. And we launched at South by Southwest. Robert sort of did incredible sort of a few podcasts where he really got to express his vision. He did appear on Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan, and he actually sold out the 1.5 million little less than 2 weeks ago, and then he increased it to 2 million to allow more waitlist fans and to actually just sort of increase the scale of the movies that he's going to build with those funds. And he sold out in one day last Friday again as well. So it's at 2 million from 2,000 over 2,000 investors. And right, the narrative there is let's make the most popular genre of films together. Let's control it, let's own it, let's involve you in the process. So one of the four films in the slates, actually every investor gets to pitch Robert Rodriguez an idea for an action film, and he will develop that with you as part of the slate. Um, so and it's exciting to see actually on the page. If you go to republic.com/Rodriguez, you can see the level of fan engagement on the page, and it's really really inspiring. Just people finally getting to participate and engage like this with their favorite director. Robert's writing directly on the page as well. People are answering each other's questions and talking about their personal connections to Robert Rodriguez and how they're building this new venture together. It's really exciting. And um, just a few others around that are that's an example of a development slate raise. So it's a revenue sharing opportunity, and you're sharing in the revenues alongside Robert's Brass Knuckle Films when a movie goes into production. The producers, a share of the producers' fees, a share of the net profits, things like that. A similar raise we did that closed in January was for Pressman Film. So Pressman Film produced American Psycho, Wall Street, Bad Lieutenant, The Crow, Thank You for Smoking, Badlands, The Man Who
Wow.
Infinity. Just an incredible roster of truly innovated and kind of created independent film and innovated independent film financing. And so Sam, who is leading the company now, is was really a first mover in this as well in saying let's do a development slate, let's make more American Psychos and Wall Streets and Badlands kind of films again. And that was another one that actually closed out at 2 million, having launched late last year. And yeah, again, really exciting play. And then we have what a lot of Republic runs on, which is not revenue sharing slates like I'm describing, but actually just chances to invest into companies. So share equities, share the equity or shares in a company, as it grows in its valuation. And Skybound is the studio that did The Walking Dead, and they did the TV show Invincible, and they raised 17.8 million from fans and investors in 2023. And Eli Roth now is currently live with his raise, republic.com/horror section. And the narrative there is let's build a new horror company. Let's build sort of the next, amazing horror studio. There's a few really famous ones, but horror fans are just completely passionate. They show up for the theaters. It's a cult. There's conferences, there's podcasts, there's costumes. So they should share in the success of Eli's next company, and they own common shares exactly as Eli does. And so that's another really exciting one that's live right now.
Whoa, I think so. And I love the fact that you can get a part in this film. If you have $1 million, you're in. That is,
Right. Yeah, exactly. For the top prize. And I mean, there are really some horror fanatics out there. He said he will kill you in his film.
great. Now, so what are the perks offered to the investor community? And are these offered by the filmmakers or by Republic Films?
Right. Great question and distinction. And I think, Republic is a neutral platform, a broker-dealer sort of market platform where filmmakers projects can come to list on Republic and issue securities, issue these investment opportunities to their fans. So it's really the filmmakers and the projects that are offering actually the deal terms themselves that, I work, or Republic works as investment committee as well with these filmmakers to determine, what are sort of industry standard fair market terms for investors, do the due diligence as well on these filmmakers and we advise, but really it's the filmmakers who are determining their deal terms and fan perks for their fan bases for their different raises.
Or they choose the perks they want for the raises, or there are certain perks for certain amounts to invest.
Exactly. That
Right.
part is quite similar to traditional crowdfunding. Really, it's they can offer, of course, for different investment amounts, all these great perks. They can choose what they want to offer. Robert Rodriguez, every investor gets to pitch a film and then create a community. For certain higher raises, you get bespoke tours for Robert Rodriguez's studio. For other higher raises, you get signed books, or for very high raise, you get a personal dinner with Robert Rodriguez and his studio team, and really get to talk with the movies that you love. And with Eli Roth, it's great as well. You get signed stock certificates, you get props, you get visits to sets, you get credits, and it's really up to the filmmaker to determine those. But and you see that in a few other platforms, but really the key here is the investment piece as well, that you share in the success financially.
This is fun. This is a lot of fun for people right now. But what I have to say here is that when they first started this, if they first agreed to allow this in 2014, it was so complicated that no one could figure it out. So
Right.
I understand why it took 10 years before anyone opened a business or started before Republic jumped into this, because the legal side is
Exactly.
probably the most expensive part of the business, right?
Exactly. I mean, we're so lucky, Republic's leadership team, the founder, there's a team of co-founders and Kendrick, who he used to be the general counsel of AngelList, which is a similar type of mission, democratizing venture investing, but only for the accredited investors before the licenses came out. And when in 2014, sorry, when the Jobs Act came out, Ken was really a pioneer and created Republic in 2016. And right, it is so hard to do that. There's not really very few platforms that can really take care of all of the legal and technical um, duties to do this, legally and market correctly. And even I sometimes have to catch myself in the way I talk about things, because we, as a neutral platform marketing to everyday investors, we cannot, promote one raise over another. We have to be very careful in being audited with the SEC, so it's highly, highly regulated.
Oh, I know that. So, but understanding the regulations is the hard part. That's
Hmm.
what we found. We were very interested in jumping into that, but there was no place to go because of the complications and the difficulties. So, you've
Yeah.
obviously got a fantastic team with you.
I'm really lucky. Exactly. I get to be that weird film guy. My background is as a producer, filmmaker, and yeah, independent film financier. And I saw them and I said, wow, please let's use your powers for the good of film. And I do have a great team that helps me, that keeps me in check, with crosses all my T's and dots my I's with that.
Exactly. Well, let's get back to the raise that Rodriguez did, because he chose to raise money for a slate of films rather than just one. So, what are the benefits of this model to the filmmakers and the investors?
What are the benefits to this model to investors of the development slate raise?
Yes,
Yeah,
because he said he has a whole slate. So he's got maybe
yes,
three
yes,
films and he's raising money for all of them.
exactly. And Pressman did this similarly as well, where rather than a film that's going into production with its with a budget, let's say 2 to 20 million for independent film. You're investing in one film and you are sharing in the net profits. With development slate, with development financing, it's smaller amounts, because you're investing in IP, you're investing in script writers or marketing resources to really get the film off the ground. So you're really coming in as seed capital, and as a result, the money that is raised goes towards a larger slate of films, to spread your risk. It is, of course, venture investing, which has its risks, and those are all, detailed on our sites. This is investing, but the good thing about a slate is that you are spreading your risk across a few different films that Robert will, of course, produce and oversee, and he does have great relationships with buyers, like the streamers and studios of the world, and some of the top grossing franchises in the world, like Spy Kids um and Alita, and all these great films. So he is really a trusted source in the action genre. But the slate model allows fans to invest across films and get receive their sort of revenue sharing across the entire film journey. So when it gets greenlit, you get a piece of your investment back. When it's shooting, at the end of shooting, you get a piece of the producer's fee. If a sequel is made, you get a piece of the rights fee, and you do still share in the split of the net profits from when a film comes out and is in theaters. And so that's the advantage of that. Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting, because sometimes it's $1 million to develop a film, to produce it. I mean, I don't think people realize how much it costs in the development phase. So uh, this
Right.
makes sense. And he might only make two of the three films, and you still make money, correct?
I mean, that is, the intent is that, of course, you're doing this as an investment to make money. Per your point about how much it costs for development, I mean, sometimes development can really shoot up there into the millions, especially with really large enterprise or studio projects. I think what's great about Robert's pitch is that he's independent. He has his own studio. He's one of the most efficient filmmakers in the business, and that's all over sort of the deal page. If you read it, he has his own studio. He knows how to do things. He has the relationships. So that is why he's saying it's, it's he's conf it allows investors to be confident into what they're investing in. And yes, I mean, the idea is that you are hedging your risks. Not necessarily all the films in the slate will go into production, but that's why you do get those premiums to account for that as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's a good investment when it's spread over three films. But we do love him, and I remember when he first started, um, he marketed himself. I'm sure you remember this, where he said, "I made a film for $7,000," and it was the biggest news going. Well, yes, he shot it, but he hadn't developed it, and of course, he hadn't edited it. But that didn't matter. That got him so much publicity, and then we got to know who he was, and he's developed himself over the years. And he's someone that people in the industry really look up to and respect. And early on, he said, whatever the budget is, get below the budget and they will leave you alone. You can make your own film. That was his message, Mark.
Exactly. Apologies for there's some New York noise in the background. But maybe that's why Robert based himself in Austin, Texas. Yes, exactly. He likes to do things himself, and he has an incredible studio that he's built there as well to really take control of the process. He's such an innovator in that way. And if you hear him speak on his podcast on Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan, he's completely inspiring as well. Just his belief and his manifestation and his vision.
His vision and his manifestations. When you put those two words together, that's power. Good. So, this is what people really need. They need that startup money. So, you then, Republic Film, will oversee or support the use of the funds that he has raised. They go to you and you handle it and then you give it to him. Is that it?
So, the way the structure works is right. Republic is sort of that intermediary broker dealer, and Robert will list his raise on the platform, and we will help with the financial structuring of it so that we account for the money that comes in, and Republic takes its commission from the money raised, and then yes, exactly, helps to escrow it and often and distribute it to the issuing entity, to the project's financial sort of company structure. So Robert, in this case, created a development slate, new sort of company around his new label, Action Films, Brass Knuckle Films, and and we also do the financial distributions out to all of the investors. So we handle that as Republic as well, which is great for any film issue or project. We sort of sit as one entity on the cap table, and we handle all that back end. That's another great power of Republic.
Oh, that's a lot of work, and that is really important that
Yeah.
that is being handled by an independent source. You're watching the books. That's great. So, since Republic is the investment platform connecting filmmakers to their investment community, and then Republic plays a role in the investments after the close of a campaign, right?
No. So we are again that neutral party, and we encourage every issuer, project, and filmmaker to describe to their investors, their audiences, what they're going to use their funds towards, their use of the proceeds. But we are just that neutral platform. We're that securities platform, and investors and audiences are really investing and trusting their filmmaker to make a movie, and their interests are aligned to have a success, to make a movie, to share in the profits, and to make more movies in the future together. So Republic doesn't have that type of sort of producerial or investment advisory capacity, or at least not in these raises. We are just that legal platform to access investment from the community.
Okay. Well, then here's a question, a hypothetical question. So if one of the three films that Robert raised money for, let's say it returns 150%. So how does that benefit the individual investor? And can you share with us? You mentioned you had three payouts.
Mhm.
So you want to tell me that again, so I get it.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, you're investing in a slate of four films, or in Pressman's case, 4 to 6 films. And there are four different corridors where investors can make a profit from. If a film gets greenlit and goes into production, from the budget of a greenlit film, investors will receive their principal of their investment that went into that film plus a premium. In Robert Rodriguez's case, it was a 25% premium. Um,
Well,
for the portion of your investment into the film that gets greenlit. And so similarly for your investment is going towards various films, and that is also controlled by Robert Rodriguez and his team. And so any film that gets greenlit, the portion of your investment that went to the film, you get a premium. And also that film has a budget, a production budget, once it gets greenlit. So let's say the film gets greenlit and it's a $10 million production budget. Uh, Part of that budget will be Robert and his team's producing fee. And so you get a portion of that producing fee as well, a percentage as an investor, as the brass knuckle films. And then, this is where then, of course, different deals take shape, whether they go to Netflix or a streamer and they're, bought out. And so there's not as much net profits, but there is a big sale. And so you can share, again, you share in a percentage of whatever Brass Knuckle Films gets as an investor. Or if it goes to theaters and, it goes through the waterfall of returns and you get, it covers its distribution expenses, it covers, whatever other kind of fees are involved, sales fees and agent fees and guilds, and then once it gets to net profits, you also share in a portion of whatever Robert Rodriguez gets, and that's sort of all described. It's complex, but I think that they've done a great job describing sort of the minutia of those four different streams in the page and in the FAQs. It's really fascinating. It's one of the most complex types of film financing, development financing, because there's so many layers, and you want to reward people for taking an early risk, high risk, high reward.
yes, this is a high risk and it should get a high reward. That 25% is wonderful. And sharing in the director's money is wonderful.
Right.
I hope, Mark, that this brings us some go back to Kramer versus Kramer, and films that we love from the 70s and 80s that had heart. Good films, they've gone because they're too big of a box office risk. You have to make come
Right.
back five these days.
Right. I think as the theatrical attendance has struggled, as DVD sales went away, it's just put such a pressure on any kind of filmmaker, but studios or even independent filmmakers that are at the end of the day still hoping they get bought by a distributor, to take sort of risk averse choices and to and that's why the reliance on IP or sequels or reboots, and obviously sort of as the net profit upside went away for filmmakers, some producers have had to just rely on getting paid their fees in the budget by selling films to different streamers or buyers. And so that has also, people have argued that has stunted a bit of the creativity and risk and the type of movies that we did get in the 90s, I think. And I think I'm hoping that now this sort of frees filmmakers up, knowing they don't just have to take a deal or feed a certain mandate of a buyer, that they can see the audience passion, that they can garner the investment necessary to do things on their own terms, and that audience will also then show up as incentivized stakeholders and sort of reinvigorate even theater going and appetites for these films. And we see a lot of that even just this year. I feel like independent filmmaking, troubled as it is sort of making a statement again with movies like Anora and The Brutalist, sweeping up award season. Even
Yes,
the recent original IP Sinners that performed very well. So it's great to see. It's a good time for this.
yes, and you mentioned Badlands before. That was an extremely well done film, and
Right.
so yes, that this would be marvelous, giving the creators the money to make the films, and nobody is telling them what to do, and they can edit at will. Because Mark Murray, another documentary filmmaker, is still looking for the last reel of Orson Welles' film, Magnificent Ambersons. We all want to know what he had in mind. The studio recut it, and it ruined the
Mhm.
film. So we don't want that to happen in the future. And this is the way to get the power back in the hands of the independent filmmaker.
Mhm. I also think it was so fascinating to see all the conversation recently around Sinners and how big of the news it was that Ryan Coogler got to sort of in a way license his IP back after 25 years. And I feel like this becomes the norm when you can involve, and also just if you could involve Ryan Coogler's community in the upside of that film. I mean, it performed very well, but I mean, it would have been sort of a headline in itself as well that Ryan Coogler's fan base or community or even the next generation of Ryan Cooglers uh, get to get to be a part of this film and even share in its success.
Right. Well, from your perspective, why should people invest in films at all? What are the emotional, cultural, financial returns that they might expect?
Well, I mean, it is very much well. First of all, the Republic investor base are sophisticated investors as well as and family offices and institutions as well as the retail investor. It is a very even sort of mix, and often this asset class has never really been offered before to retail audiences, to everyday folks. I mean, you sort of have to know somebody, or you hear about an opportunity if you're at a great party, especially in Hollywood. And so for the first time, this is really opening up this alternative asset class, which is quite important to have in an investor's portfolio. You could argue it's an uncorrelated asset class as well. There's entertainment, there's always there. I mean, in COVID, entertainment went sort of through the roof, really, with people staying at home watching TVs. Like it is good to diversify your portfolio with these. But it is, of course, a venture style investment, whether it comes to development investing or, as we know, even the success rate of a unicorn breakout film like Sinners. It is rare, and so you're investing in something you believe in for that chance. And of course, I mean, I think a huge thing still here is that passion for film, that passion to support your filmmaker, allow them to make their film and really share in you betting on them.
Absolutely. Well, can investors communicate with each other, and does that enhance the experience?
Yes. So, I mean, if, as I mentioned earlier, if you go on republic.com/Rodriguez, republic.com/horror section, our most two, our last recent raises, the investor discussion board at the bottom of the page is just incredible. And often they are communicating with each other, inspiring each other. Some investors are even answering others' questions about film or encouraging, saying, let's go, we did this, we're on the way. And otherwise, Republic otherwise does manage the board as well. And so there is that buffer between filmmaker and community, but the interaction is there. It's really strong.
Wonderful. I think that's really important to find out and talk to other people who are investing in the same investment. Um, so, what are the benefits for filmmakers when they raise funds through crowd investing instead of crowdfunding?
For filmmakers, I think you're going to get a much more sort of passionate community and audience base. It's not, and it also for filmmakers, it enables them to do this because I think a lot of filmmakers, the elephant in the room is that they don't want to look like they're hurting their brand. They don't want to make it look like they ran out of financing sources and they now have to turn to crowdfunding and asking for money. It's not really that. It's actually it's a fan engagement and It's a risk syndication. It's a great opportunity to change that narrative from like I'm carving out a slug of the investment for the fans as well. And that's going to help build my audience. That's going to help me do this independently. Even if the film is fully financed, syndicate a piece off to the fans, have them share in the risk and the upside with you. And that also then creates your marketing machine because you're going to have all these fans who want to make a profit as well. And that's going to help when you go to the negotiating table with a buyer as well. So it's you know, that's compared to crowdfunding. Traditional financing, I always say that this actually is complementary to that. If a studio is coming out with their next huge franchise, I mean, maybe the next Mattel film, a lot of millennials in the investing age now played with Hot Wheels when they were kids. It'd be great to sort of be like, I'm an investor in that next movie or in the next sequel of a huge IP that they love, and owning a piece of that, or if now, of course, as I mentioned, how risk averse networks are in buyers. If you're a project that comes with co-financing, not donations, but equal sort of investors at the table, that helps also alleviate some of the risk for a studio to greenlight your film and make a deal faster. So I really see it as there's very many different horses for courses here. I mean, for development, these development overheads and deals as well have dried up a lot over the last few years with the studios, and now again filmmakers can develop on their own and then show a more completed project to buyers. So yeah, I do think it's quite maybe at first seemingly small, but actually a very powerful distinction.
Yes, it is. And what you're doing here with this is you're putting the power in the hands of people. So let's say I invest, I am definitely going to be promoting this film online everywhere I can. And when it is in the theater, I'll be dragging my friends to the theater. And this is people power. So we can make a difference in what is being seen. I was on a panel one time and someone said, how do we stop them making these terrible films? And of course, the answer is don't go to the movies. But that's not what we want now. What we
Um,
want is the opposite. Make us some good films, right?
right. Right, exactly. We want to sort of re-inspire everybody across the value chain, and also this is happening in all parts of the of filmmaking today. I mean, we hear about AI making it possible for to create more efficient films and for more people to make the films, and we hear we're seeing what's happening with YouTube and direct to fan distribution, and this is sort of the part that also allows fans to engage in their favorite filmmakers. And this is sort of helping to innovate the financing sphere of things as well.
Well done. Thank you. Well, I want to know how much you have been invested in projects through Republic so far.
So, on the film side, it is quite a new vertical, and Skybound raised almost 18 million, Pressman to basic 2 million, and now Robert Rodriguez 2 million. There's actually another great example called the Bucket List Studios, which is in fact an influencer-driven production company, and they raised 3 million from 30,000 investors, so $100 max per investor. Really powerful case study. Happened in a matter of days when it launched because they had such a powerful community. So, over 25 million so far, not counting the current live raise with Eli Roth, which is currently sitting at 2.8 or 9 million, 2.8 million. So, it's a great amount, and we're just hoping that it's going to grow.
This is marvelous. It's only been a couple of years, right, Mark?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, officially for the film vertical, with revenue sharing and with, the last three raises really launched only in September at TIFF. Skybound was, and Bucket List were before that. So yeah, only a few years.
Marvelous. Are you going to Cannes?
Yes, I am. I'm off on
Oh, good.
Monday. So really glad that we got to do this before that.
Yes, I am so happy for you. What fun you'll have. Well, okay. Tell me what advice that you can give filmmakers who are planning to launch a campaign.
Well, this is one day I really hope that I believe the dream is that Republic Film, people should go to it, and it'll be a very known thing, and film fans can browse the opportunities and see, wow, I want to invest in that type of film, in that type of film today. But where we stand right now, to make it to really be successful, you have to have access to a community, whether it's the community of a talent in the film or a known IP, a discussion board, a Reddit thread, an email list, whether it's a cause-driven documentary where you can tap an organization to promote the message, whether it's a sports team or musician who you know are executive producing and will say, hey, fans, let's make this movie together. Let's make the movie about your favorite sports team or your favorite band. It has to have that megaphone. It might be the best deal in the world, the best project, but it's no good if nobody hears about it. And so to prove this model out, at this point, the advice is if you're looking to raise a really successful campaign and go through all these regulatory hoops to mount a successful campaign, you're going to want to make sure that you have a great community megaphone strategy, really, to make sure that the raise gets seen and heard. I mean, Robert Rodriguez did an incredible job going on Tim Ferriss and and Joe Rogan. I mean, incredible. Eli Roth was on The Town and is speaking at horror conventions. You do this from a place of passion, but also there's a community out there and you need to reach them.
Yes, get involved in your community, right? Because your audience is who's going to help fund you. Uh,
Right.
yeah. So, what advice can you give to investors who are considering backing their first film through Republic?
I mean, this, as mentioned earlier, I mean, either you're a fan of your favorite filmmaker, and that's very visible in the raises that we've seen in the discussion boards, but also if you've always been curious about film and how it works, and never had the opportunity to really invest in that asset class, now it's able and it's opened up, and if you're passionate about the arts and also just diversifying your portfolio as mentioned, and these are really premium projects that we're offering on Republic, which is great. These are, very proven commercial filmmakers. I hope that we expand into all kinds of categories. Right now we've got, independent film with Pressman, we've got action with Robert Rodriguez, we've got horror with Eli Roth, we've got TV with Skybound, and even influencer driven with Bucket List Studios. But I'm hoping that this model can be applied to so many different parts of entertainment. In creator, the influencer creators, even on social media now, they can start their own studios and they can allow their millions of fans to create something new with them. Um, Comedians who want to also release their own specials with their fans, they can now say, "Hey, let's make that special together." Uh, Celebrity alcohol brands and football teams. It's like, yep, I'm inviting my fans to co-invest in this venture with me. There's just so many use cases. I'm hoping that one of them will really make sense to you as an investor.
Fabulous, fabulous. So, what is Republic's vision for the next 3 years?
So sort of as described, to grow into these new verticals, to really become the leading and trusted crowd investing or investment platform globally. We are global, and to I think actually really, from a creative standpoint, really contribute to independent filmmaking, increasing opportunities for filmmakers to make the movies they want to make, take risks with their fans, bring fans and content and communities closer together. Imagine instead of a red carpet premiere, you had a whole stadium full of the fan investors of a certain campaign or studio. That was the celebration, right? Not just the red carpet at Cannes. Um, um, you know, Even the big distributors getting to maybe green light more things because some of the risk is shared with the fan base or they have more proven numbers with their fan base. So, it really is growing in the directions that I mentioned, but it's also uh, continuing to build this momentum that I think we're starting to see with independent film.
Wonderful. Tell us how people can reach you, Mark.
Oh, the best would be to go to republic.com/film. And there are many places where we want to hear from you. There's There's at the bottom of the film, let's make a movie, email address. There's a yeah, an information page as well, info@republic.com. If you browse around republic.com/film, I hope you find it fascinating. I hope you find the message clear and the investment opportunities exciting, and there's a place for you to also reach out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the time. And we all wish you the very best of luck. Claire and I are really behind what you're doing. And I hope you will find a slot for documentaries, for
Oh,
fundraising.
how could I miss that one? My background is in documentary filmmaking. Absolutely. And that's where the
Yeah,
cause-driven things and everything comes into play as well.
that's what we want to hear about. So when you're ready to announce that, we want to hear first, please.
Absolutely. We do have something along those lines coming up, so stay tuned. But yes, emboldening and enabling documentaries also to be
Oh, very
about
important.
important
Because
things.
there are journalists today,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your
Thank
time.
you
We
so much for having me. This was wonderful, and really admire all the things you do as well, from what you did with Indiegogo and with from the Heart Productions and from this podcast. So viva la independent film.
Yes, we do. Thanks a lot. Best of luck.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay.
All right.
Claire, thank you, sweet.
Sure. Yes. And be well, everyone.
Thank you very much. That was great.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
thank you.
Now, in its second edition, Carol Dean's popular book, The Art of Film Funding, has 12 new chapters to cover all areas of film financing and how to avoid expensive pitfalls. Learn how to start with an idea and end with a trailer, how to make an ask for money, create your story structure and your trailer, legal advice, fair use, successful crowdfunding, how to ask for music rights, and what insurance you can't shoot without. Available on Amazon under Carol Dean and at FromTheHeartProductions.com. I want to remind our listeners that David Rakelin is a brilliant and talented award-winning musician who scores films and can compose music for a trio or for a full orchestra. David is a very good friend to the independent filmmaker and comes highly recommended by From the Heart Productions. If you need music to help tell your story, please contact him at davidrakelin.com. That's David, RAIKLEN.com. And Carol and I want to thank you for tuning in to The Art of Film Funding. Please visit our website at FromTheHeartProductions.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Good luck with your films, everyone.